Starting with breaking updates coming in, the IT Ministry has notified a new rule that will give powers to the Press Information Bureau to fact-check any fake or false or misleading information about the central government and thereafter ask it to be taken down by social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter and Google. So if the companies refuse to abide by the order of the PIB fact-check, they will lose their safe harbor immunity that guarantees them protection against any illegal or false content that has been posted by users on their platforms. Let's go across to my colleague Mohit Bhatt, who's joining us on the broadcast. Mohit, the changes had raised controversy earlier when they were proposed as part of the amendments to the IT rules. Now, say a creation of a fact-check unit within the PIB. Mohit?
To classify a news as a fake news or as a news which has the content. Now, earlier in October 2022, when the new IT rule came out, it was being said that the PIB fact-check unit would be set up, and under this particular fact-check unit, if a news is false or has a malicious agenda, and this, basically if the news is not true, then it will be flagged as fake news. But then earlier also we have seen various organizations, specifically the news organizations, have come up, and the political parties also came up and stated that the government is trying to censor the news and the media which is critical of the government, to which Rajiv Chandrasekhar, the IT minister, and the sources within the ministry have basically stated that there is no idea to censor any news, but this PIB fact-check unit is being specifically created to flag up the fake news. Now, we also know for a fact that how the menace of fake news have gone up in past many years, and the need for the fact-checkers the PIB unit also says was being raised with the minister and the ministry by various organizations and various communities, and hence we see that the PIB fact-check unit has come up. Now, but we are also being told is that this fact-check unit will also be empowered to check any news and to flag that news as fake or false. Now, what the sources say that after a news is being tagged as fake or false, it's not necessary that the particular organization will have to drop down their news. They have their right to defend themselves in the court of law. But you see, many people who have been critical of this step of the government of amendment of the new IT rules, they have basically stated that the government is trying to censor the news which is critical of the government, while the government basically says that they want to target the menace of fake news. They want to remove the menace of fake news because they say that fake news has resulted in various riots. Fake news can also result in law and order situation, and that is
the
why
government has clarified that this is only to check fake news. Mohit, request you to stay on with us. We have Mr. Udit Raj of the Congress also with us. So Udit Raj, the new amendments of the IT rules means that the platforms will no longer enjoy legal immunity, and if the government is going to fact check any of this news, it can be brought down immediately.
See, I see something fishy in it. Opposition will be targeted. What about BJP IT head, Mr. Amit Malviya? He keeps on spreading false news. Has there any action been taken against him? So what happened? They will target the news which will be against them or against the wrong policy of the government. I'm afraid that this may be a tool to deny freedom of speech to opposition parties.
Okay, denying freedom of speech to the opposition parties, you're saying, but what the government has said that this will only give powers for the Press Information Bureau to fact-check any fake, false or misleading information. So as long as the information is not fake, there's not going to be any issue with it.
I see that composition of Press Information Bureau, that depends on if they are subjective, then of course, if any news which is not in the taste of the government, then that can be interpreted or misinterpreted that it is fake or it is not factually correct or it is partly correct. There can be many ways to block. I am afraid of this, that it should not be misused. That is what I can say.
Okay, all right. Mr. Udit Raj, thank you for joining us. Going back to Mohit Bhatt on that. Mohit, the government has said it's only misleading and fake news that will be taken out, and this will just be a fact check, so to speak, by the government, by the PIB in this case. But the opposition had also previously raised an objection when it was proposed. Even now, we just heard Mr. Udit Raj of the Congress Party also saying this is just going to be a way of taking away the freedom of speech of the opposition.
Well, Pratibha, and as we were discussing earlier, and as I was discussing the point which is just being made by the Congress leader Udit Raj, that the opposition have earlier also stated that the news which are critical of the government will be flagged off as the fake news by this particular PIB unit, and then they will be asked to take down that particular news from their platforms. But you see, what the PIB also states is that this particular unit will be notified in a week or in 10 days, but there will be a complete transparency and accountability which will be there in the public domain, so that if there is a suspicion that this particular PIB unit is not working as per the law, or it's censoring one type of content which is against the government, the action would be taken. So that is also cleared by the government, that there will be transparency, there will be accountability, and everything will be there in the public domain. And basically, Pratibha, we also need to understand that this particular PIB unit will only be fact-checking the news which is related to the government. Like, for example...
All right, we have the first reaction also coming in from the IT Minister. Mohit, request you to stay on with us. Reacting to the new IT rules, the centre has allayed the fears of censorship, saying there's no plan to control free speech. The reaction coming in is that this is not muzzling of media, this is merely going to be a fact check. Listen in. Okay, this was a statement that had come in fact, of Chandrasekhar, like you mentioned, Mohit, the IT Minister, saying that this is only going to be a fact check and there's not going to be any muzzling of media whatsoever because of the fears around it. Because the opposition has also been talking about how this could be seen as censorship, the government clarifying time and again, allaying these fears that it's not going to be any form of censorship and there's not going to be any control on free speech. This is merely going to be fact checks.
Well, yes, and Rajiv Chandrasekhar has also stated that the media and the other news organization need not worry, because this is something which is not against the media. This is just to counter the fake narrative that is specifically I would like to emphasize on that fact, that is specifically targeting the social media and the digital platforms. And we also know for a fact, Pratibha, that how this is the age of digital media. Now, a news which is sent on a WhatsApp or Facebook or any other social media platform can easily get amplified, and there could be serious repercussion if that particular news is fake. And that is where the government says we want to check that, we want to have this particular in place so that the fake news should be curbed, the menace of the fake news should be curbed. But yes, there are apprehension raised by various organizations and the political parties that the news which will be critical of the government will be asked to take down, or will be censored, and these are the concerns that the government will have to cater to. And for that, the government and the minister has basically stated that yes, there will be a specific unit in place, but there will be accountability and there will be everything would be in open public space, so that the misuse of this particular PIB unit should not take place. So the government says that there will be accountability, the opposition says that they want to muzzle the voice of the opposition and also the news which is critical of the government. We have to wait and watch when exactly this particular unit will be notified, because the minister says in 7 days or in 10 days this particular unit will be notified, and how exactly it will go forward. Pratibha,
yes, and it's likely to snowball into a big political controversy, with the opposition accusing the government of muzzling free speech. Mohit, thank you for joining us with those details.